Hey guys, this is Spoonie, and I'm back with my breakdown and review of My Adventures with Superman, Episode 9, Zero Day Part 2. This one's a real game changer in terms of the status quo, so if you're not caught up, there's a playlist in the description. So we start this episode shortly after the last one, Zero Day Part 1, where the episode ended with Clark being abducted by Task Force X. So Lois and Jimmy are scrambling through the city trying to find any information on Clark's abduction. Jimmy checks his Flamebird account, but there is zero activity. We cut to Superman, who's shackled in a room that seems to be powered by red sun lighting, meaning he's weakened and unable to escape. The General is there asking him questions about an invasion. He confirms that the zero-day event that's been referenced multiple times throughout the series was an invasion that happened 22 years ago, and a hologram recreation finally shows us what happened. Okay, so there's a large alien craft. It's hovering over a cornfield, presumably it's near Smallville, somewhere in Kansas, with an army base that seems to have been set up directly beneath it. The General and Amanda Waller are there, much younger, obviously, and they are new recruits at the time. She calls him Sam, which I think 100% confirms he is Lois's dad, General Sam Lane. The alien ship opens a portal, on the other side of which is a Kryptonian battle fleet, and they're being led by somebody in armor. A first wave of Kryptonian robots is launched through the portal, and it's at this point they bear an obvious resemblance to the robots that we've seen Task Force X using. These robots also have the Brainiac symbol on them. It looks like they're doing the origin where Brainiac started out as a sort of central AI that networked all of Krypton. Anyways, the robots are decimating the soldiers when there's a flash of light that appears from within the portal, and the portal then closes. Cut off from the fleet, the robots deactivate and the massive ship collapses. And Sam and Amanda are the only survivors of the event. My take on this is that the Kryptonian fleet was trying to escape the planet's destruction and find a new homeworld, but the shockwave of the planet's explosion caught up to them and closed the portal. Now, back in the present, General Lane is telling Superman that he's the one that actually started Task Force X. He used the recovered Kryptonian technology to make weapons to prepare for a future invasion. Throughout the whole interrogation process, Lane comes to realize that Clark is really more of a confused kid than an alien invader. He goes to Waller with this. Supposing Kryptonians age at a similar rate to humans, Lane states that Superman is too young to have been part of the zero-day invasion. He wants to use Superman as a source of information to access the technology, but Waller wants to use him to learn how to kill other Kryptonians. This being a United States military operation, General Lang gets the final say. As she's leaving the room, a pissed off Waller hits a switch, and it seems to cut the power to Livewire's cell. She's able to free herself and break out the rest of Task Force X. Ivo puts on the parasite armor and rushes straight for Superman's cell. Due to the red sun lighting, Clark can't satisfy his power cravings, so he decides to tap into the base's power grid. The energy causes him to grow in size. The General shows up with some soldiers to try to stop him, but they get attacked by Task Force X. During this battle is when Deathstroke finally loses an eye to Livewire, and it seems pretty nasty.
Bye-bye, Black Ops.
Ivo continues to siphon energy from the base and grows into a gigantic size. Superman escapes during the chaos and is found by the News Kid Legion. They take him to their clubhouse where he can meet with Lois and Jimmy. He starts to express a lot of self-doubts about who and what he is after learning about the invasion force that brought him to Earth. Now, at this point, Parasite has turned into a straight kaiju, and he's just eating off the city's energy supply. Superman tries to face off with him despite being outmatched, and he gets smacked around. Jimmy gets an idea. He goes live to his now 5 million followers, and Lois delivers a passionate speech. She talks about all the good that Superman has done to the city and then says it's time to pay him back. They ask the city to shut off all generators, breakers, anything that can feed Parasite, as they want to starve him of electricity. As the city starts to shut down, Parasite immediately starts to shrink. While re-engaging with the parasite, Superman is able to manifest his X-ray vision for the first time. He scans Ivo and sees that he's actually embedded inside the parasite armor, and it looks like something out of Attack on Titan. He launches himself like a bullet through the parasite armor and rips Ivo out, and this completely ends the fight. Clark meets Lois and Jimmy on the Daily Planet's roof. Jimmy takes Lois's stuff downstairs to the office to give them some privacy. Lois and Clark finally get their moment. While heading to the office, a green glow in Lois's bag alerts Jimmy to that multiversal orb. Anyways, Jimmy inspects the orb and he's able to access File X and seems to be shocked by what he sees. In the final scenes, General Lane is confronted by Amanda Waller and a now eye patch wearing Deathstroke. He's informed that Waller now runs Task Force X, and it's under the direct authority of Checkmate and the United States government. Ivo's last invention is a gun that will help them carry out their new directive, which is to kill Superman. Okay, first off, in the comics, Checkmate is a spy organization. They were an offshoot of Task Force X, and they later came under the jurisdiction of the United Nations. If the show decides to go with that second version, then this could mean Clark could be labeled as a global threat. Maybe we'll see more metahumans coming out, heroes and villains, to try to either capture him or join him. Now, something I forgot to point out in the last episode, 0 Day Part 1, was that some of the channels that Jimmy was watching had channel names like Bibbo87 and Lori Lamaris 59. Now, Bibbo Bibowski is a post-crisis character who first appeared in the comics in 1987. He's a retired boxer who owns the Asa Club's bar and is self-proclaimed to be Superman's biggest fan. Lori Lamaris is a pre-crisis character who first appeared in 1959. Aside from being another double L initialed character in Clark's life, Lori was his college girlfriend. Initially, she was a character in a wheelchair, but at some point it would be revealed that she was using the chair to hide the fact that she was a mermaid and did not have human feet. She could survive on land longer than most of her kind, but eventually she did have to return to the seas. Now, this episode's live chat featured those accounts, as well as screen names for other accounts that reference Pete Ross and Lana Lang, both of which who are Clark's childhood friends from Smallville. The chat itself is hilarious if you're able to read it, and you'll notice that Steve Lombard is actually in there taking part. Okay, so overall, I like the fact that the status quo has changed in this episode. So Lois and Clark are finally open and in an honest and truthful relationship with no secrets. Task Force X has kind of revealed themselves to the world. What with the very public fights over the last 2 episodes, it's kind of hard for them to deny their existence. Sam Lane is out and Amanda Waller's in, and she wants blood. Sam Lane would have been the better choice because, you know, him being a father and stuff like that, he might be able to kind of sympathize more with this young boy who just happens to be an alien with superpowers. And lastly, the people of Metropolis no longer fear Superman. They embrace him as their champion and as their defender. I personally think that this episode would have made a great season finale, except that it's not. There's one more episode in the season. Keep an eye out for that video, though, and we can find out together. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.